I have seen the light. Just kidding. But look, color me impressed. Honestly, I didn't think that this video was something I'd ever make. Hello all of my otaku friends, my name is Profitaku, and welcome back to my channel for this Should You Read Sunday. Today we're gonna play a little game of, if you like this, then maybe you should check out this, except today we are doing it with graphic novels. Yes, I have dabbled into 3 different graphic novels, and honestly, I'm just shocked about what I've been reading and how much I've been enjoying it. So if you guys love manga as much as I do, and you're looking for something to kind of bridge the gap between manga and graphic novels, then this video is for you. Stay tuned. And before we start the video today, as always with all my Should You Read Sunday videos, no spoilers. I will not tell you exactly what happens in the volume. What's the point? Then you can't even enjoy it. And also I want to acknowledge the 2 sponsors of the Should You Read Sunday, Saturday AM and rightstuf Anime. So Saturday AM is a graphic novel company I'd actually never heard about until I had read Yellow Stringer that was sent to me. And I totally got the vibe of like, hey, I'm like watching Saturday morning cartoons, which is like exactly what they were going for when I read the end notes, which I was like, okay, that was great. But what the company is striving to do is to help bring graphic novels to a manga audience by formatting it very similar to a manga. Yes, it does read left to right, but in terms of just the overall aesthetic of the manga, it very much feels like a manga. They also have a website and an app where you can read some of their titles for free. I will leave a link down in the description below. And I don't need to say anything about rightstuf Anime. It is my go-to place for pre-order placing for the entire year, with great packaging and even better customer service, as well as amazing sales like the Shoujo Beat sale, where I was able to get Nana and Yona the Dawn back ordered for the eventual reprints that are happening at the end of the year, so you should probably get on that. rightstuf just proves to me time and time again that they're the most consistent supplier on the market right now. And of course, my affiliate link is down below if you ever want to use it during a publisher sale or the holiday sales that are coming up. So thanks to Devin and the rightstuf team for continuing to support the Should You Read Sunday series and allowing me to bring you guys new series for you to check out. So let's start off here with Yellow Stringer, and if I can give a comparison to manga, it definitely gives me vibes of early Naoki Urasawa. Think like Pineapple Army or Master Keaton. So the premise of this manga is quite interesting. It's a mystery thriller. It follows our 2 characters here. The main character girl is a graduate of Columbia University, and our male character here is an ex-cop. Together they team up to work as detectives for this gag newspaper company, Yellow Stringer. So obviously with this being a gag newspaper, the reputation around town is that they put out these articles about supernatural cases that happen and people just don't believe them. They think it's just some sort of comedy act. But in reality, there's actually some merit to what's going on behind these investigations. So we follow our 2 detectives as they go around town solving cases and encountering supernatural things and monsters. So one thing I do want to talk about along with the standard review is actually the publication of this, because all 3 series that I'm going to talk about today are very different. So with Yellow Stringer here, obviously this follows more of a manga format of publishing. Black and white pages, the paneling is very much similar to manga. You do have an embossed cover here on the front, which is really nice. I enjoy that the colors pop out great, and it's a more glossy finish, except without the more laminated type of front. So this manga was definitely a lot of fun, and it kept me very entertained. It got a 6.5 out of 10 for me, and it was like riding a roller coaster, but like the very first part where you're like going up and up and up, it got better with each chapter, and it ended in a way that makes me curious to see how this continues to progress in later volumes, which is good because I think a first volume that definitely doesn't land the end of the first volume just leaves such a bad taste in my mouth. So this graphic novel just has a problem with an interesting premise but a lack of execution, but it's more of like a flip-floppy type of thing where like some of the stories are really cool but it's just not finished very well, or the story just doesn't seem that interesting, but the pacing is done really well. So it just kind of went back and forth until like the last 2 chapters. And then it kind of just identified its voice, and then something special came out of it. And when I mean that the execution wasn't there, it's more like the end of the stories were always kind of falling flat, because the really cool part, which is the supernatural part, like what is really engaging us, the mystery and everything. It kind of just gets thrown at you within the like 5 pages, and it just takes so long to build up. And I think that was just the biggest issue I had with this volume. But with a mystery graphic novel like this, I think the 2 biggest things that it really needs to land are the characters and the actual cases themselves, and both of them definitely get a stamp of approval. So I really like our main characters. I think that they have great personalities. They work really well together. I love the interactions that they have with one another along with all of our other characters, and I appreciate that they're both strong characters. There's not like a weak character that's like and like can't do anything on their own. They're both very independent, and it's something really refreshing to see. The artwork itself is kind of hit or miss. It definitely is a little bit different than what I am used to. I do really like the monsters. I think that they're detailed very well, but overall there's just a lack of background, of just a feeling of emptiness as we continue throughout the story. I hope to see more things shelled out in later volumes, because honestly I think the artwork is actually really good. It's just that especially at the beginning, there just didn't seem like there was enough time to kind of fill this world out. The last thing I'll have to say about this is the verbiage used, or just the dialogue that was presented in this manga. I just felt like it was written a little bit weird. So when you have a conversation with someone, for example, like your friend, do you consistently call out your friend's name? No, you don't. You don't like keep saying their name in the conversation. You just talk to them in the second person. So it was really weird to just keep getting names repeated over and over in conversations. It just made things feel a little bit cheesy, a little bit corny. So do I recommend this? Yes, I think that it was a good start. I think that there is definitely potential here. I don't think it's everybody's cup of tea, but if you are looking for a mystery thriller, but also just a more laid back thing, not something super serious, then this is definitely one for you. All right, so up next, we're going to take a completely different turn. We're going to take a look at a graphic novel called Petrograd, and this is from Oni Press. And before I even get into anything, I mean, look at this cover. Look at it. It's beautiful. It's one of the top 5 covers in my entire collection. You've got this beautiful gold all around it. I wouldn't say it's gold foil, but it's like gold lettering. I just love this color palette, and I just think it works so well. And honestly, this was a total cover buy when I got it at the bookstore. But if I can compare this graphic novel to anything, we're comparing this to Message to Adolf. So this graphic novel is in the genre of historical fiction, and it is set in 1916 in St. Petersburg, Russia during World War I. So the premise is super interesting. It follows our main character here, a spy for England, and he's in Russia kind of sneaking around trying to get intel on all the different fronts that are going on between Germany, England, and Russia. And as the tides are turning, alliances are breaking down, teams are shifting around, our spy here is given the task to do something monumental in the whole grand scape of World War I, and it's all centered around this man here, Rasputin. Now, what I love about this graphic novel is that it's all in one. From beginning, middle, and end, you're getting the complete package, and honestly, it's fantastic. I think that the writing in this is honestly just some of the best writing I've ever seen, manga or graphic novels or books. It just gets everything right. Psychological thriller, historical information, as well as fast-paced action. I never felt bored when reading this, and I never was like, man, I just like want to get to the good stuff, because all of it was just so important to what they're trying to paint in this picture, which is the grimness and the despair of World War I. It's really fascinating. And yeah, the storytelling is fantastic, but can you believe that there's something that actually tops that? And that is the art. The fascinating choice that they make with this is that they use this orange color palette, and it paints this really grim picture, this really dark, interesting premise. And then the way that they use the shadings and all the action scenes, and the way that they use blacks versus whites along with this orange color palette, it's really cool to see. We also get some pretty interesting character designs. I think the biggest issue for me was the way that the faces were structured. It made them look very similar. The eye design is also the same across the board, so it made it hard for me to distinguish the characters at some points, but overall the main characters look different enough that it just wasn't that big of a deal. Overall, this graphic novel is a perfect dictionary definition of a one-shot. It fulfills that need to learn something, but it presents it in a palatable way that makes me engage from beginning to end. And it also completes a great story in under 400 pages. Actually, it's like 240 to be exact, which is even more commendable. So yes, this gets the highest stamp of approval from me, 9.5 out of 10. You need to pick this one up. Last but not least is a graphic novel that I just saw on Instagram and I was like, this just sounds super cool. But it's a beautiful hardcover collection of the first 5 volumes of Animal Castle by Ablaze Publications. And continuing on the historical fiction genre here, if I can give a perfect analysis of this, it's like if Message of Adolf and Beastars had a baby and then we get Animal Castle. So if this looks very familiar to you, that's because it's actually based off of George Orwell's Animal Farm. And if you know anything about that story, here's the premise for you. You follow a group of animals who live on a farm, but it's under a communist regime. So you have the bull is the main leader and you have his minions of dogs, and they rule over all the weaker animals in this kingdom. As this weaker, smaller group of animals works for the upper regime, they struggle to make ends meet every day while at the same time lining the pockets of the supremacy. There's a couple of things about this graphic novel that stand out to me, but I think the biggest one is the art. We definitely get the more graphic novel style art here. Full color pages, beautifully laminated pages as well. This is a beautiful publication with it being a hardcover and an oversized copy. It's definitely word dense, but it's really easy to follow the paneling and it's a lot of fun to read. Character designs and emotions are presented so well in this manga. It's a beautifully immersive experience and it makes you feel that you're right there with the animals. The character designs definitely give me like a caricature vibe when you're like at the boardwalk or you're at the amusement park and you're getting those pictures done by those artists. It's like that. Obviously, this story is a representation of a dictatorship and the oppression of its people. But what makes this graphic novel just a step above all the other ones that I've reviewed today is not the actual story premise, because it's a retelling of an original story, but it's the way that it's executed, and it's executed perfectly with the characters. These characters have just like the best spunk and personality about them. They're written so well, you just grow to love all of them with their different quirks and their different interactions, and how their uniqueness as animals really shines in the forefront as they continue to fight the regime. And even though you have bad guys and good guys, there's many layers to this story. You see many different viewpoints and you go, man, I just feel bad for everybody involved. And I can't believe it's taken me this long to establish this, but the main character in the story is this female cat right here. She has 2 kittens. Her husband died several years earlier in the regime and she is just trying to make it, carrying bricks basically every day to build this wall for the regime. Overall, this piece of literature is a beautiful character study on oppression, rising from the ashes, taking back what's rightfully yours, but just doing it in a way that just feels raw and true to pure human emotions, but also presenting it in a way that just works for a lot of ages. I can see this being a fantastic work to put in schools, specifically like English classes for study. So yes, this gets a huge stamp of approval from me. This got an actual 10 out of 10. I couldn't find any flaws with it other than that, because it's such a big publication, the text is really small and there's lots of text on the page, so you gotta have to like get through it, but let me tell you, it's well worth it. And that is it for my Should You Read Sunday on graphic novels. I hope to do more of these in the future as I continue to dabble into some different genres. I know a lot of this was historical fiction, thriller type of things. I'd love to get more into the sci-fi stuff, maybe a little bit into the romance. So if you have any graphic novel recommendations, leave them down in the comments below. As always, if you enjoy my videos, please hit that like button, tap that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so that you know when more of my videos come out, and I will see you in the next one. Take care now. Bye-bye.